I realized that your life is more about building a sculpture. So it's not you have all the pieces. You have everything, all the potential you need. You just need to take out what's not needed in your life.
Oh, I love that.
I got goosebumps.
Right? There's another quote that I used to always use back in the day when I was teaching yoga. And it is just that, like, imagine yourself as a sculptor. And I can't remember who says this quote, but it's like they were asking an artist, like, how do you build the sculptures that you do? And he says, well, I just take the material and it tells me what it is. I just remove the pieces that are hiding what it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to In the Spotlight. I'm Meagan Fettes, your host for this podcast. And I am so excited about the guest that we have today, Lina Park with Hi by Lina. Before we get into the episode, I want to do a shout out to our sponsor, Main Street Market. Now, if you have not been to one of their 3 locations, they've got one here in Okotoks, in Mahogany, in Strathmore. These locations are full, wall to wall, with incredible businesses and products. You need to come and check them out. So make sure you hit up one of their 3 locations and you will not be disappointed. All right, let's get into this. So Lina, I am so excited that you're here. You and I have known each other now for a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. I think maybe 2 or 3 years. I can't remember.
Yeah, about that. And I have to say, like, I have always loved your products. They are some of my favorite products I've ever tried. So I can't wait to talk about them. And before we get into all of that, we're going to do some fun, weird, wacky questions. You down for it?
I'm ready.
Okay. What is something that people would be surprised to learn about you?
That's an interesting question. I'm not sure. The fact that I'm very goofy.
Ooh.
And very nerdy. I love playing board games. And I guess being a chemist, I like nerdy stuff, like learning about, different things, but also playing, watching sci-fis, like Dune is one of my favorite movie. The Hail Mary came out, and it's all the scientific stuff. I love it. So I don't know, I don't know if that will be surprising, but yeah, I'm very goofy and kind of nerdy at the same time.
A good mixture. I love it. Well, and I actually forgot that you were a chemist. That is so cool. So when because obviously everything that you do is probably based off of your knowledge of science and your knowledge of the naturally infused techniques that you use. What moved you from being a chemist into what it is that you're doing now?
So that reminds me of a quote from a movie.
Nice.
It says, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yes.
So being a chemist, I have experience in pharmaceutical industry, oil and gas, manufacturing industry. But when I was within that industry, I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot. I met great people. But there was something in me that kind of drew me to this a herbal, kind of more down-to-earth, holistic skin and hair care. Mostly because that's my dad was working on. And, as being a rebellious teenager, I don't want to do what my dad does. You want to do something else. You want to experience something new. But I realized, having my own business kind of was coming home. So learning all the skills, knowing everything and kind of having all that experience kind of brought me back home where I belong.
I love that. And as you're saying that, I can actually feel that. That's a beautiful gift.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. So many things that we're going to dive into. What does the name Hi by Lina mean to you?
So the name initially started because I started gardening and I was harvesting a lot of herbs because I love cooking. So I have literally a pantry full of herbs and botanicals in my pantry, and that used for cooking as well as tea. And so herbal infusion kind of came from the fact that I was growing all these herbs and I was eating them all, but at the same time I was like, I can't eat them all. So why don't I just infuse some of those herbs into skincare and then I can make some skincare products. So that was where it initially started. Hi stands for herbal infusion
I love
and made by
that.
Lina.
Well, and in case nobody knows about this yet, you guys need to check these out. One of my favorite products that you make is your shampoo and conditioner. It is by far the best shampoo and conditioner I've ever found.
Thank you.
And it's infused, if I remember right. Like the shampoo is infused with rosemary.
Yes. So for that one specifically has a rosemary essential oil as well as peppermint. So the rosemary and peppermint is kind of like really nice combo. But also the reason why I actually developed shampoo and conditioner bar is actually for my husband.
Really?
Yeah. Because I actually experienced, my husband actually was going through, I guess, midlife crisis. I don't know. He was losing his hair. He was panicking and he was using a bunch of product that I was like looking at the ingredient and having the chemistry background. You understand like one of those peel-on stickers. When you look at the ingredient list, you're like, okay, that's not good. That's not good. And I was just going through a list and it was like, no, I need that because I need to get my hair grow back. And I was like, okay, well, what about using something more natural? So I started diving into doing some research about, what's good for hair growth and why someone loses their hair. So I kind of like learned about all that and then put it all together into a shampoo and conditioner bar, which now is called Scalp Therapy in our line. And he initially was very skeptical because, sometimes natural thing, people have tried it in the past and they're like, oh yeah, natural thing doesn't work is sort of the conception people sometimes have. So I made this and I gave it to him like, try it because I don't want you to die early. I want you to have hair, but also I don't want you to, be full of toxin in your body, right? So I gave it to him, he gave it a try and he really liked it. And then after a few weeks or so, his hair started growing back. And I was like, okay, I have something that's valuable for people. So I started making them and giving it away for people. And because, around the same age, people kind of going through the similar issues. So I did that and people were like, okay, where can I buy this? And how do I get it? Like, give me more. So I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. So
that's amazing. Was that one of your first products that you started with?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, wow. And like, as I'm listening to you, I can just imagine, I want to bring you grocery shopping with me because I'm sure you're that person that's like looking at the labels being like, nope, I'm not putting that in my body.
Yeah.
Good for you. Like, I feel like you've got such a wealth of knowledge within you and then turning it, like you say, with great knowledge comes great responsibility or great power comes great responsibility. You're turning it into this beautiful gift that you get to give to people. And this is a hot topic too right now. I feel like we're finally getting to that space where people are questioning things. Like, yeah, maybe I ate this, but maybe that's why I'm not feeling great. Or I've been using this product. Is it really supporting me? And you're giving them options that are actually working.
Yes. It's for me, one of my product philosophy is to empower people with knowledge so that they know what is good or what's bad. Because I don't want people to come from like a fear-based decision. I don't want people to, there are a lot of fear-based marketing out there, especially for natural products. It's like, oh, if it's not natural, it's bad for you. Don't ever, don't use this, don't use that. And there's a lot of greenwashing going on in the industry. So not all natural products are good and not all synthetics are bad. Yes, I have all my product 100% natural because that is what I chose. But going from a fear-based, reaction for all the products is also not a great way to resolve issues because sometimes, like, for example, bergamot essential oil, if you actually use it naturally, they're all natural, but there is a substance in there, it's called bergantine. And that's actually sun sensitizer. So if you want to use those essential oil on your skin, you have to make sure those compounds are removed.
Really?
Yeah.
See, and these are things that people don't know, right?
Mhm.
Like, and again, that education and understanding is so valuable. That's really interesting. Oh my gosh. I've got so many questions. So let's start with the first one that's like rolling and percolating through my mind. Was this something that you naturally knew or did? Like you mentioned that your dad was more on that natural side of things. So did you grow up quite natural and in the knowledge of how to utilize herbs to support the body?
I would say I'm from South Korea. So I actually my mom's uncle was a herbologist, and I think I was surrounded with a lot of knowledge around me. But for me, that was normal. Like how I grew up, eating healthy, you know, having those Chinese medicine when you get sick as opposed to the Western medicine. That's something that how I grew up. And, sometimes when after washing your rice, having the rice water to wash your face, it's really good for preventing acne, things like that. I kind of grew up
Wow.
doing that, but I felt like that was the way it's supposed to be. So I didn't think that it was like, oh, this is a miracle knowledge that I've gained through growing up in this household. It was more like, oh, yeah, this is what's supposed to be normal.
Wild. How old were you when you moved to Canada?
I was 16 years old.
So was it a big shock to see, like, to go from that, right, where you've got all this wisdom and these tools that were traditionally used to, in Canadian lifestyle, completely different, right, where we're almost completely cut off from that wisdom? Not everybody, but for the
Mhm.
most part, culturally, we are, and more reliant on the medical system.
So for me, I guess because I was well connected within my family unit, so I still had that support group. But one thing that I did notice when I moved to Canada is how dry everything was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're like I had amazing skin when I was 16. I never had an issue with acne. My skin was glowing, healthy, and for me, that was normal. But
Mhm.
when I moved here, my skin started to feel dry, patchy. So I was like, I don't know what's going on. And, you try everything, like use heavy moisturizer that is, designed for dry skin. Cause apparently, and I do have dry skin apparently when I moved here, even though I had a really great skin back there. But without realizing the climate was changing, I was switching up the creams and things. And then I start breaking out somehow all of a sudden. Like I had acne and like it got oily all of a sudden because I was using too heavy moisturizer. So that was sort of my experience. Like I had a bit of a struggle when I first moved here to figure out what's going on with my skin because I feel like I had everything good and then now everything's just falling apart.
Oh, wild.
Yeah.
So then in those moments, what did you do or what did you find that worked for you?
Um, I think I ended up not really knowing what to do at the time and ended up just covering it up with foundation. I think in my 20s and 30s, like I felt that there was nothing that was working for me. So I was just kind of covered it up and did the best I can do really with that.
Well, yeah. And I mean, like, I'm like so interested in this because I feel like every Canadian, especially girl, right? Because I feel like women, we tend to focus a lot more on our skin than the men do.
Mhm.
Some men do. I just know, like, my husband, he used to get weird with even putting moisturizer on his face.
Mhm.
And I'm like, come on, man. Like, it's super dry. But as women, we're so focused on our face.
Mhm.
And I think every single woman who has been in this climate has struggled,
Mhm.
right? Well, what kind of skin do I have? Because sometimes it's really dry, sometimes it's really oily.
Yeah.
Am I combination? We don't know. And then we keep trying all these different things and just hoping to find something. And so I feel like that's so relatable. And I kind of would love to nerd out with you a little bit if that's okay. Because I know, like, I've utilized your skincare as well. And it is wonderful. Like, it is so moisturizing, but it's also not like heavy. Like, it's just this like perfect amount. And so was that something that you then formulated, especially with your chemist background, to support the skin?
Yeah. So so I went through all those struggles, and because, I was busy, in my corporate jobs, you know, going out with friends, like your 20s and 30s, you're busy doing things. So with skincare and all that stuff kind of was something that I was like, oh, I'm going to deal with it later. Try this product and it works for a while. I'm like, okay, maybe it's working. And then, depending on women, like, with women cycle, like sometimes there are times that are good, sometimes there are times that are bad. So I'm like, is this skincare working, or is it just you know, my cycle that my skin is looking great and all of a sudden I'm breaking out and then now I'm okay. It was very cyclical. So
Mhm.
you always add on more products, hoping that it would work. And sometimes it will work, but it was never something that I felt comfortable. Like my skin wasn't very comfortable. So I was constantly putting on different moisturizer, different products, covering out with a lot of foundation and makeup so that I can look decent.
Mhm.
So with my product, I was trying to figure out, so the way that I started thinking about that is during COVID, that when everything kind of slowed down. So for me, it was COVID was kind of mixed time for a lot of different people. Like some people improved for the better and not so much for others. For
Mhm.
me, I'm actually a very introverted person, even though I'm very socially acquainted and socially um, adjusted. But being an introvert, I really like just being alone and just kind of thinking about things and reevaluating things in my life, like what's important. What are the things that I should take care of? What are the things that I want to let go? Um, so I actually started my business during this time because I wanted to do something for myself, something for my own health, something for my family. For example, our shampoo bar, that's when, it was developed as well. So because skin was such a issue for me for my whole life, I wanted to figure out, what do I need? What are the things that I can bring in for myself that will be beneficial for me, but also not toxic at the same time? Because I'm very conscious about different ingredients. And I know that there are a lot of movements out there to use 100% natural. So, like, do like DIY skincare, use olive oil, coconut oil type of things like that. But as far as, because I have a chemistry knowledge and I know how to formulate different things, when you use straight olive oil, for example, a lot of people think it's like, oh, hydrating, it's nourishing and has polyphenols in it. But the fatty acid contents are wrong if you're
Oh.
using it by itself. So you're like learning about like skin cell structure and what's supporting and what's not, what's the right ratio and balance. And for me, that was very important. So, like, when it comes to natural skincare, a lot of people just throw in ingredients that are good for you and then like hope that works. But for me, I like to look at the analytical or the fatty acid composition, which is 99% of the oil is fatty acids. So instead of focusing on like what kind of polyphenols and vitamins and minerals are in there, I'm like, no, you should be thinking about fatty acid composition.
Yeah.
Even though it's like, it's not a really hot topic. I'm like, who talks about fatty acid composition?
I think you're probably the first that I've talked to that has actually mentioned that. And I love this. So I don't know if you know this about me, but I am also a science nerd.
Oh,
And
nice.
so I love to geek out on this kind of stuff. And especially around the body, right? Like the body is this most fascinating vehicle that we've got. And yet so many people just assume that because we live in it, we understand it. But there's so many beautiful and in-depth and layered aspects of it. And so like the fatty acids, like I can only imagine, like this is what I'm working out in my brain, is like how does it actually penetrate into the skin? How does it support the skin cell like structure, everything?
Mhm.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I feel like this is like my happy place right now. I just like want to like take in all of your knowledge and listen to this because it's fascinating. And I
Mhm.
think it is really important because
Mhm.
that DIY got so popular, especially over COVID. And I mean, same thing. Like there's been times where I'm like, oh man, I need moisture. And people are like, use castor oil. But then castor oil also promotes hair growth. And this might be a little bit too much information, but like, I don't need more hair growth on my face right now.
Yeah, the castor oil is also a tricky one because it's great for rinse-off product, in my opinion.
Really?
But as a leave-on product, it has a very specific fatty acid in there that are very sticky. So it actually will like congest your pore potentially, and it could like just allow the dirt to stick on your face more, and it will cause more irritation and breakout potentially. So like when people say like, I'm using straight castor oil on my face, I'm like, it's working for you, okay?
Well, I don't know. I was doing that for a bit. And like I say, hair growth, man.
Oh, really?
Oh my gosh. It became like part of my makeup routine. And this might be too much information. People are going to be like looking at me now, like trying to find my mustache. Well, it's there. So I love the knowledge that you bring to it because you are like you say, like, so rather than straight olive oil, there's probably another hydrator that you can utilize within that actually helps to balance. Is that kind of where you're going with the products?
So if I can sort of categorize skincare in two different categories. One would be more like water-based products, and then two will be oil-based product. So a lot of people, when people are saying like, I want something more hydrating, people usually go for more water-based product because it contains anywhere between 70 to 90% water.
Really?
So even the creams and stuff like that, they're mostly water filled with thickeners so that it makes more rich and has like a nice heavy texture to it. But they're still mostly water. So with that, you have to use what's called preservative. And that's what causes a lot of sensitivity for people. So when you're using a lot of different products and a lot of products in general, then you're also consuming a lot of preservative on your skin will kind of penetrate deeper into your skin. And the role of the preservative is to prevent the yeast and fungus and mold to grow in the product themselves. But then because your skin layer is also a living organism, it actually has its own ecosystem, including microbiome. So when you're using those preservative, you're also disturbing those microbiome system. So you're like, why is it not working? It's like, it's supposed to be really hydrating, but my skin is not feeling the greatest. It might be that having so much preservative in your system, you're actually kind of disturbing the ecosystem. So that's part of the reason why our product is actually preservative and water-free, and it's water-activated skincare. So,
wow. This is so fascinating. Sorry if I'm like just like in it. I'm like, oh my gosh, keep going. I am like loving this.
So the second category would be the oil-based product. And that's where a lot of DIY products have come from, because with DIY, it's probably safer product for you to make if someone wants to make a product, because you don't need to have preservative because there's no water. Like nothing lives without water. So as long as there is enough antioxidant in there to stabilize the oil from going rancid, you can technically make face oil, for example. But as I mentioned, different fatty acid composition is actually really important. So I actually have one of my customer who actually was dealing with very sensitive skin, and she actually like took a course and learned about like how to make your own face oil, and she kind of made some stuff, and then she said she was using it for a while and it's like, this isn't working. So she came to me and says like, I've done all this. I was told that I shouldn't be using, synthetic products, so I was using this face oil that I made, and I know it's pure, everything's great, but still it's not working. So it's not her fault that it's not working. It's because when it comes to formulating skincare, you need to have like really good understanding of how your skin barrier works, and then how those different types of oils combine together for as a synergistic effect. So when it comes to face oil, you have to think about, so there is like categories of oil that are lubricating, and there are categorized oil that are more of like structure forming. So you need both, and you need to have a right ratio of both, Because sometimes when you use too much lubricating oil, for example, olive oil has lots of oleic acid, which actually is very lubricating oil.
Mm.
So, but imagine when you build a wall with everything lubricating, it's not going to be very structural. It's just going to be just kind of blah, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So in order for it to actually build a good skin structure, you need something that is a little bit more structural. So linoleic acid is actually one of the more structural compound, so that it's called polyunsaturated compound. So it actually kind of has a little kink in the molecule, so that it actually kind of builds up the structure a little bit, as opposed to it being lubricating.
Oh, that is so
Yeah.
cool.
So like the way I actually tell people is that imagine doing a Tetris, right? So there's like a bunch of pieces falling all at the same time. But it's also like a windy condition. So like things are falling. But if you actually have like all the straight pieces coming down, eventually it's going to be like just like stacked on top of each other. And the windy condition comes and it will just kind of slide right off, right?
Yes.
But if you have one of those like L pieces or like the zigzag pieces or whatever, then it will kind of like clump itself together to make it a little bit more structural. So that's the analogy that I actually like to give, so that you can kind of understand why different fatty acid composition is important.
That is so cool. Like, these are things that I never would have ever thought about. And I think it's so important because, like I say, like, when it comes to our skin, it is a living organism, right? It's actually one of our biggest, well, it is our biggest living organ in our bodies.
Mhm.
And yet we put this stuff on it, not really thinking about it or not really being intentional with it. And what a great way to understand it. Like, you take that science and you break it into simplicity, which is so cool.
That's what I like doing. I just love, there are some people who seek knowledge to sound smart, or there are people who are actually seek knowledge to be smart. So for me, I like to learn all this knowledge and figure out how I can apply them. And also, instead of like using a bunch of jargons, I want to like make it simple. Like, I want you to like understand what you need to understand. You don't have to learn all the, chemical compound and where the double bonds are formed and how many carbon structure is there in a molecule. You just need to know, like, what do you need?
Yeah. It reminds me of one of my favorite quotes, which is the highest form of sophistication is simplicity. Because just that, right? Like, I really do believe that you understand something so deeply and profound when you can take a complex idea and simplify it. Then you really understand it. And so, like, I can see, like, I'm fascinated because this is a side of you. Like, we've had lots of conversations over the last couple years, and you are a very like grounded, a very intentional woman, as well as you've got this side of you that's like beyond brilliant. Like, I don't even have words for it. It's so cool.
Thank you.
So I want to dive in a little bit more to that grounded and like intentional side of you, because you are a holistic individual, like not just in the products that you provide, but just in who you are. And you have this energy about you that is just so welcoming and so natural and just magnetic. I guess that's the best way I can describe it. And so I've watched you over the last few years grow and expand so much in your business. As a very intentional woman, what do you feel has been the most supportive ways for you to both grow and expand your business and maintain that grounded side of you?
So in my early year, I used to think my life as puzzle pieces. So if you gather enough puzzles, your life will be complete. So I was sort of in a gathering phase, so to speak. I want to experience this. I want to do this. I want to learn about this. But as I mature into my 40s, I actually turned 40 last year.
Congrats. Well, like, that's so exciting. I'm not there yet myself. I'm like, it's exciting times though,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Mine's next year.
And I realized that your life is more about building a sculpture. So it's not you have all the pieces. You have everything, all the potential you need. You just need to take out what's not needed in your life.
Oh, I love that.
I got goosebumps.
Right? There's another quote that I used to always use back in the day when I was teaching yoga. And it is just that, like, imagine yourself as a sculptor. And I can't remember who says this quote, but it's like they were asking an artist, like, how do you build the sculptures that you do? And he says, well, I just take the material and it tells me what it is. I just remove the pieces that are hiding what it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because you had mentioned that before, like learning to like let go, like really looking at like what's needed, what's not
Mm-hmm.
in your life. And so, do you do that on a regular basis in your business and your life?
So when I first started my business, because I was nerding out. Like I learned everything about like skincare and hair care. And people are like, oh, can you make this? Can you make that? Can you make this? And I'm like, oh yeah, I can do that. I can do this. I can do that. So I did that actually earlier in my business. And people loved it because when I make product, it's always great product.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized that I was sort of being pushed by someone else's intention. And I kind of, at some point, and I was like, okay, what do I really want to do? So I started being more intentional about my product. So right now I have, I think about, including different sizes and different things, I have about 20 different products. And people was like, oh, is there something new this year? I'm like, maybe I might have some limited edition, winter stuff, whatever. But I don't really like, coming out with new ideas and new things because your skin, your hair doesn't really care if it's new and shiny ingredients or products, because I realize that less is more. So I just get people to understand, like, yes, my, doing the same thing over and over again, day and night, might sound boring, but it works.
It does.
Yeah.
Right? It's like that consistent pattern in life. I like to look at patterns.
Yeah.
And really, when we look at what generates success, and I mean, success is different for everybody, but I think the one true aspect of success is knowing that we're evolving in the way that we're meant to be evolving, right? Rather than feeling like we're scattered, we're actually evolving in this path. And ultimately, the biggest pattern is consistency,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Exactly. So the thing is with a lot of people with, when it comes to marketing, you want to have like this shiny new product to get people excited about. That's what fashion is all about, right? Like people used to have like, skinny jeans. Now everyone's wearing baggy jeans, and then now back to skinny jean again. Like, but we were talking about same thing, like pants and shirt and shoes.
Yeah, totally.
Really. So with skincare, like I want to more focus on maybe building yourself a ritual and taking the time to take care of yourself. But at the end of the day, you have more life to live than worrying about your skin and hair.
True.
I recently put a post on Instagram saying like, your skincare should be boring because your life should be more exciting than your skincare.
I love that because it's true, right? But we want something that works, right? That we know will actually do the things that we want it to do. And it doesn't have to be like hours long. Like I watch some of these videos where people are like doing all these things and I'm like, I don't got time for that. Like usually when I think about my skincare, I got 10 minutes before I'm like crashing out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because like people like, oh yeah, if it doesn't, if it doesn't take more than, like, if it takes more than 5 minutes, like it's too long.
Yeah. And I love that idea because I mean, our lives are meant to be exciting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Well, and you said something too that really like landed with me in that less is more, right? And you talked about not being pulled in all of these directions, like making decisions and standing in. And one of the things that I constantly talk about with my clients is like get really clear with how you serve, who you serve, and then create your business, not by creating so many different things. Create the things that you know you can iterate and improve upon But those are your programs. Those are your offers. Those are the things that you know are going to get the results for your people, and just focus on making them better each time.
Exactly. For me, like one of my intention for this year and forward is to grow. So I've been a little selfish for a little while now because I have a very lovely group of people, my customers, who love my products so much. And it's really easy for me to like, have this reassurance and like, oh, your products are great. And I love that kind of feedback. And I'm friends with some of them. I'm actually going to some of their birthdays because I got to know them through the business. And some of them are like in BC and they're like, oh, whenever you come to BC, like, come and we can have coffee together. So like I got to this stage of comfortable where I knew all my customers and I got to like, communicate with them. But this year, one of my intention, the reason why I actually might cut my hair recently,
Mm.
is there are some practical reasons, but for me, I need to find the room to grow. And when my hair was really long, I was constantly chopping it because a little, trimming at the end. But it was, it was getting in the way, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna cut it, and I'm gonna show how fast it grows.
Ooh.
Because that's my products or my hair care products, it actually makes my hair grow so fast. I still have to constantly trim it. So I was like, you know what? Why don't I just cut it really short and I can show people how well it grows? But it's like that intention for growth is in me as well for my own business as well.
Oh, I love that. Like you're leading by example in all ways. And that to me is like, as business owners, we really have to be the ones that go first, right? Like we can put out all of these expectations or these ideas, but it has to, like, we have to be the ones, right? So like you say, like chopping your hair, creating these intentions, doing these things that are allowing you to lead in that, that's powerful. I really dig that.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I am loving our conversation. Before we completely wrap up, I would love to know, like, what is one thing that you feel you've learned in your journey as a business owner that has highly impacted you?
I think one thing that I realize for me is that you can never be good at multitasking. No matter what people say, like women are good at multitasking, but we are good at getting, I guess, distracted with too many shiny objects. So for me, one thing that I've learned in business and also in life is to have an intention. And that intention isn't something that you feel like you have to have. It's like more like, I think that I'm pretty sure this is where I want my life to be like. It doesn't have to be specific. It's just like, you can have the image in your head, certain words like freedom or generosity, growth, learning. Like you can have this intention. And then once you have the intention, everything you do has to kind of align with that intention. But at the same time, you don't want to be too bogged down by the results because life gets in the way. Sometimes you have good days and sometimes you have bad days. But when you know that you have that intention moving forward, it doesn't matter if you have a bad day because you know what you're doing is moving yourself into that direction. So as long as you take the step towards that intention, at least just say out loud that intention, then you are living a successful life. It's not about like a certain, state that you need to be in. It's like being in that mode of intentionally growing. And I think that's, something that I like to have in my business as well as in my personal life.
I love that. That is so true. Oh my gosh, you are brilliant.
Thank you.
You are brilliant. Oh, so before we end too, how can people find you? How can they find your product? Because they are amazing. If you guys have not tried them, you need to get in touch with Lina because they're like some of the best products that I have ever tried in my whole life. And you've heard her brain. You understand the creation. You got to check these out. So how can people get in touch with you?
So the best way to get in touch with me is by email or Instagram. My handle is Hi by Lina, HIBYLENA. And I have a website which is called hibylina.ca. That's where you can actually learn about all my products. And I'm actually adding some educational series in my website, as well as Instagram, potentially YouTube as well, to kind of create more of a educational for content for people. So watch out for that.
Ooh, I'm excited. Okay, I'm definitely going to be geeking out on your website and all of your socials.
Thank
Well, thank you so much. I have loved this conversation. I mean, I always love our conversations,
Hmm.
but this one was really cool. I feel like we got into a little bit more depth of like who you are and all that you are, because like I said, you are a very incredible woman. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Meagan.
And I want to do one more shout out to our sponsor, who is Main Street Market. Again, if you have not come and checked them out, I'm a big believer in our local market, our local businesses. As you guys have heard through all of our shows, there is amazing business owners right here in our own backyard. And so check out one of their 3 locations in Okotoks, Mahogany, or Strathmore, and you will be amazed at what it is that you find. Thanks, everyone.